Did you know that over 80% of cyber attacks could be prevented with some key security measures, yet a number of organizations still leave critical gaps in their defenses? Could you be making the same mistakes? Welcome to this discussion on the Center for Internet Security Critical Security Controls, also known as CIS Controls, a proven framework of 18 essential security best practices that can dramatically reduce your risk of cyber threats. Whether you're an IT professional, a business owner, or just someone who wants to stay safe online, these controls provide a clear roadmap to securing your digital world. But here's the real question. Are you prepared to face today's evolving cyber threats, or are you unknowingly leaving the door wide open for hackers? Stick around as we break down the CIS controls, understand how they work, and why they are a must-know for anyone serious about cybersecurity. Please note that this is an independent publication and has not been authorized, sponsored, or otherwise approved by CIS. The agenda for this lesson is to introduce me as your instructor, learn who the Center for Internet Security are, learn what the CIS Critical Security Controls are, how to download the CIS Controls material, learn what implementation groups are, get a summary of the 3 implementation groups, learn what the CIS Community Defense Model is. In later lessons we will dive into an explanation of each of the 18 controls and their safeguards. Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Lash and I'm excited to be your instructor for the cybersecurity course focused on the Center for Internet Security, or CIS, controls. I'm based in New Zealand and have worked with a number of private and public organisations ranging from small to enterprise size over the last 25 plus years within IT and cybersecurity. I have a number of certifications including CISSP, CCSP, SABSA Foundation, Certified Ethical Hacker, and Microsoft Azure Security Engineer Associate. Let's start learning about CIS and the CIS controls. Who are the Center for Internet Security? CIS is a non-profit organisation that focuses on improving cybersecurity in both public and private sectors. They create widely recognised guidelines like the CIS controls and CIS benchmarks to help organisations better protect themselves from cyber threats. CIS also runs the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Centre, or MSISAC, which offers cybersecurity support to government agencies. Their goal is to make the digital world safer through collaboration, innovation, and practical security solutions. Now let's take a quick look at the CIS website and go over some of the content they offer. I've also included links to various CIS websites that provide more tools and resources to help with cybersecurity. So this is the CIS website. If you go to cisecurity.org, you'll get this initial landing page. If you click on the solutions icon at the top, you'll see there is a number of options that you can go into with regards to the services that CIS offers. At the top we have the security controls just here. There's also the CIS RAM, which is the CIS risk assessment methodology, which helps organizations learn how to provide or perform risk assessments. The CIS Controls community allows you to communicate with others in the community to talk about CIS controls. CIS CSAT is an online tool that helps organizations understand where they sit in terms of how far they have implemented the CIS controls. CIS benchmarks are an option for organizations to do security hardening with the likes of Windows, Linux, database, web servers, network devices, etc. They provide a list of recommended security configurations to harden each of those devices. Syscat Pro is a tool that can be downloaded onto an individual device to run a scan using the CIS benchmark. The CIS benchmarks community obviously allows people to communicate with others to talk about the CIS benchmarks with any questions that they have. CIS hardened images are images that are provided by CIS in the form of Windows or Linux operating systems that have been hardened with the benchmarks, and they're available in the cloud portals through the likes of Azure and AWS. Another option, if you want to get some more access into the offerings that CIS have, is to become a member, and that's through the CIS Secure Suite. One of the things that you'll have an option to do is to get access into the benchmarks portal, which allows you to do customized benchmarks for different types of devices or operating systems, and so that you can apply those within your organization. And they also provide some tools that allow you to partially automate the application of those configurations as well, with the likes of, for Windows, providing group policy object templates that you can provide through the group policy management portal within Active Directory to apply against devices to harden them as per the benchmark settings. And as I mentioned earlier, the MSISAC does state here that it's for US state, local, tribal and territorial governments, but personally I have been able to register with that website, and I can get some threat intelligence information from that website emailed to me periodically. So what are CIS controls? CIS controls are also known as safeguards. The CIS controls are a set of guidelines designed to help both individuals and organizations focused on the most important actions they can take to defend against serious cyber attacks. CIS controls are managed by CIS, and over time they've become a global community of volunteers from various industries who work together to share knowledge about cyber attacks, identify their causes, and develop defensive actions to protect against them. Create and share useful tools, guides, and real-life stories of how organizations have successfully implemented the CIS controls. Align the CIS controls with various regulatory and compliance frameworks, ensuring organizations can meet legal and security requirements while staying focused on what's most important. And identifying common challenges in getting started, such as creating assessments and implementation plans and working together to solve them. The CIS community is based on the experiences of organizations who have suffered from cyber attacks and learnt from these to help others to reduce the likelihood of you experiencing the same by producing these controls. Now, how do you download the CIS controls? Let's pop over to my website and we'll have a look on how you can download the controls. So if you go to the link that's provided in the website, which is cisecurity.org/CIS-controls-download, you'll come to this page that will take you to the latest version of the CIS controls to download, which is currently version 8.1. And as you can see here, it represents the latest evolution in cybersecurity standards designed to help you improve your cybersecurity posture. The newest version of the controls includes updated alignment to evolving industry standards and frameworks, revised asset classes, and CIS safeguard descriptions, and the addition of the governance security function introduced in the National Institute of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Framework version 2.0. As you can see, you'll need to include some information before you can download the controls material, including your first name, last name, the organization that you work for, email address, what sector you work in, the country, number of employees, how you heard about them, and whether you are currently looking to implement the CIS controls. Once you've filled out all that information, you can click on the download and you will receive a follow-up email which will provide you with a link to download the material. The download includes a PDF document and an Excel spreadsheet. The spreadsheet has the ability to easily filter the safeguards by implementation group, which we'll go over in the next few lessons. And you can start with the Cyber Essentials and move your way through implementation group 2 and IG3. Let's have a quick look at the spreadsheet that's provided as part of the download. So here we have the CIS version 8.1 spreadsheet for the controls that are downloaded. As you can see, if we go along the top, you've got the CIS control number, which right here is number 1. The next column is the CIS safeguard, so each control has a safeguard, and that is what the recommendation is to implement within your organization. So we can see here that under control 1 we have 5 safeguards going from 1.1 to 1.5. What the asset type is that the control is protecting, so we can see devices here. The security function column covers the functions that are provided within the NIST cybersecurity framework, which are identify, protect, detect, respond, recover, and as of version 2, there's a new govern function. So this will provide you with details of which function this particular safeguard covers. There's a title for the safeguard, and then there's a description for the safeguard. Now with the CIS controls, you'll find that they don't actually recommend tools that could be used to help the organization with the implementation of these safeguards, and we will be covering that in the upcoming lessons when we go into each of these controls separately. And then you can see over here on the right there is IG1, IG2 and IG3. The implementation groups we'll go over very shortly, but you can see that if there's an X in the column, that X represents that it is covered under that particular implementation group. Now if you want to filter the implementation groups, you can, under Excel, you can go to the Data tab, and under Filter, you'll see that there is a drop down that becomes available, and if we click on the drop down and select blanks, it will only show the items that are included within the first implementation group. Now try not to get too confused with the fact that it also shows IG2 and IG3. All that means is that this implementation group is valid for IG2 and IG3 as well, and we'll go over that in the next few lessons. So we can see here that we've got each of the controls, and you do actually lose some visibility in terms of the headings for each of the controls. So you can see over on the left here we've got 1, 2, 3. You'd need to unfilter to see the titles again, but here you can easily view all of the safeguards that are provided within IG1, and you can do the same filtering for IG2. If we remove, if we add these blanks back in, it'll remove the filter, and if we go to IG2, if we remove blanks, and under IG1 if we remove the X's, we'll see that we've just got the safeguards that are applicable for implementation group 2. Okay, we'll go on to the next lesson. Okay, the CIS controls are a set of 18 cybersecurity best practices designed to help organizations protect against cyber threats. The 18 controls listed here are control categories that include a number of safeguards for implementing within the organization. A summary of these is as follows: keeping track of all devices, keeping track of all software, safeguarding sensitive information, hardening systems against attacks, controlling and monitoring user access, ensuring only authorized users have access, regularly scanning for and fixing security weaknesses, monitoring and analyzing system activity, securing common browser and email attack entry points, preventing, detecting and responding to malware threats, implementing backup and recovery solutions, establishing, implementing, actively managing network devices, establishing and maintaining comprehensive network monitoring and defense, educating users to recognize and prevent threats, ensuring third-party security compliance, protecting applications from vulnerabilities, preparing for and responding to cyber incidents, simulating attacks to find security gaps. Now across these 18 CIS controls, there are a total of 153 safeguards. We'll go into each of these safeguards in later lessons. Next we'll learn about implementation groups. CIS controls implementation groups, or IGs, are categories that help organizations assess where they stand with cybersecurity based on their risk level and available resources. Each IG includes a specific set of CIS controls that are recommended for organizations with similar needs and challenges. The IGs are designed to fit different types of organizations, with each one building on the previous group. IG1 is considered essential cyber hygiene, the basic foundational steps every organization should take to protect against common cyber attacks. IG2 builds on IG1, adding additional safeguards. IG3 includes all the safeguards from both IG1 and IG2, making it more advanced and contributing to a better security posture for the organization. In other words, IG2 and IG3 are progressively more advanced levels of security starting from the essentials in IG1. An IG1 organization typically is a small to medium-sized business, otherwise known as an SMB, with limited IT and cybersecurity resources. Their main focus is keeping the business running smoothly as they can't afford much downtime. The type of data they are most concerned about protecting is usually basic, like employee and financial information, which isn't so highly sensitive. Safeguards selected for IG1 should be able to be implemented with limited cybersecurity expertise and aim to thwart general non-targeted attacks. Now, although this is mainly a definition from CIS around the type of data that applies to SMBs, my personal opinion is that SMBs can also store very sensitive data, and organizations of any size, regardless of the type of data they store, should strive to implement IG1 as well as IG2 and IG3 if possible. Organizations should evaluate each of the safeguards by working through each IG in order to determine if they are valid or not. If they're not able to implement a safeguard that is determined to be necessary, a risk assessment should be performed to understand the likelihood of an event occurring and the potential impact it may have on the business if that event does occur. There are 56 safeguards in IG1 spread across the different CIS controls. We'll learn about the IG1 safeguards in later lessons. Now let's look at IG2. An IG2 organization has staff dedicated to managing and securing IT systems. These businesses support different departments, each with its own level of risk depending on their job roles and goals. Smaller parts of the organization may also need to meet regulatory requirements. IG2 enterprises typically handle more sensitive data, like client or company information, and can tolerate short periods of service disruption. However, a key concern for these organizations is losing public trust if a security breach happens. As mentioned in the previous slide, my opinion is that IG2 may apply to organizations of any size, and an assessment of the safeguards needs to be undertaken to determine if they are valid and can be implemented. There are 74 safeguards in IG2 spread across the CIS controls. We will learn about IG2 safeguards in later lessons. Let's now look at IG3. An IG3 enterprise has specialized security experts who focus on different areas of cybersecurity such as risk management, penetration testing, and application security. The data and assets in an IG3 enterprise are highly sensitive and often subject to strict regulations and compliance requirements. These organizations need to ensure their services are always available and that sensitive data remains secure and intact. A successful cyber attack on an IG3 enterprise could cause serious harm to public safety and trust. Again, as mentioned in the previous slide, my opinion is IG3 may apply to organizations of any size, and assessment of the safeguards needs to be undertaken to determine if they are valid and can be implemented. There are 23 safeguards in IG3 spread across the CIS controls. We'll learn about IG3 safeguards in later lessons. Next, we'll learn about the CIS Community Defense Model. Organizations often want to know how well the CIS controls protect against the most common types of cyber attacks. To answer this, CIS created the Community Defense Model, or CDM, which uses current threat data from industry reports. The MITRE ATT&CK framework helps CIS break down cyber attacks into specific techniques or attack patterns. For the 5 most common types of attacks, CIS analyzes threat data to identify the attack patterns linked to each one. They then track which CIS safeguards are effective against these techniques. This helps CIS determine which safeguards are the most effective at defending against various attacks. For CDM version 2.0, the top 5 attack types are malware, ransomware, web application hacking, insider and privileged misuse, and targeted intrusions. As you can see from the chart in this slide, implementing the CIS safeguards in IG1 can defend against 77 to 86% of the attack types, and implementing all CIS safeguards across IG1 through IG3 can defend against 90 to 98% of the attack types. In this lesson you have learnt who CIS are as an organization, a brief introduction to the 18 CIS controls, what implementation groups are, and the top 5 attack types from the CIS Community Defense Model. In the next lessons I'll take you into each of the 18 CIS controls, including the recommended safeguards in each, the IG of the safeguard, and some recommendations on tools that you may use to help in implementing these safeguards. I hope you can join me in the next lesson as we continue discovering the CIS controls and how they can help improve protection to your organization from cyber attacks. See you soon.